We are coming to you from Comerica Park in Detroit, where this afternoon Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Ian Kinsler, and the Detroit Tigers. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson. My partner, Steve Stone, will not be here for this afternoon's ball game, nor was he here last evening. And sitting in for him is former outfielder, member of the 2005 World Championship White Sox, Brian Anderson. And Brian, last night, did a terrific job, buddy. You got one under your belt. And you saw some good pitching, too. Unfortunately, again, it was the tale of Jose Quintana going out there pitching well and no decision. I
mean, what do we have to do to get that kid a win? I mean, I saw him today and really shows the demeanor he has. He's walking around the clubhouse, in the weight room, getting his work in, happy as can be. That's all he can do is go out there and pitch to the best of his ability.
That's it. And, you know, I was talking with Don Cooper before the game, and I think he's got 52 no decisions in his career. That's almost 2 years of pitching, of starts.
I mean, after what you told me last night, I just couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, you know, of course, my first time in the booth, and this poor kid, you know, he's getting no hit by the other team, and he's throwing a shutout, and he's getting out pitched.
Well, we have taken 2 out of the first 3. Obviously, we lost that game last night, 2-1 in 10 innings. We won a doubleheader the day before, but going against us this afternoon is a guy that you hit well, Justin Verlander.
Well, I'm happy I did, but, you know, that guy has plenty of success with other teams, against other teams. You know, we got to get him early. Big-time fastball guy early in the count, but he can put you away with that nasty curveball, cutter, and a changeup.
All right, Frankie Montas on the bump for us, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. Audi, truth in engineering. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
And welcome back to Comerica Park, where today really is a day for me and for all those who knew him, a day of celebration for the life of Yogi Berra. Yogi passed away at the age of 90. What a wonderful person he was. What a wonderful player. 18-time All-Star, 3-time MVP. And for the people who loved him, we're going to celebrate his life, because it certainly was one of fulfillment. They were real. I mean, they were really real.
I've read some of those quotes. They're pretty much unbelievable, but they're classic, and they're also pretty hilarious. From what I heard, he was just a hilarious, funny guy.
The first time I hit when he was catching was in Yankee Stadium against Whitey Ford. And my first at bat, I went to the plate, and they had 2 strikes on me, and all of a sudden I'm standing there, and I feel something warm hit my ankle, my right ankle. And all of a sudden it broke, broke the kind of, Whitey was just getting ready to throw the pitch. So he threw the pitch, threw that little fastball, broke back over the plate, called strike 3. And I looked down, and Yogi had spit tobacco right on my sock down there.
And you can't dare say anything to him at the time because it's Yogi Berra.
And I'm from Savannah, Georgia, a 20-year-old rookie. So what are you going to say? But the Tigers have taken the field. And let's check out Robin's lineup that he's going to run out there against these Tigers. There you see the top 3 of Eaton, Abreu, and Thompson. Middle third of Cabrera, Garcia, Ramirez. And the bottom third of Sanchez, Michaels, and Gio Soto. And the Tigers defensively, well, they have Rajay Davis in left, Anthony Ghost in center, J.D. Martinez in right, around the horn, Castellanos, Machado, Kinsler, Alex Avila, the catcher, is at first base today, and the battery of James McCann, and the 32-year-old veteran Justin Verlander. Verlander, who's making his 18th start, is coming in with a 17-13 lifetime record against our guys.
I'll tell you what,
he is our
stud.
Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher. But you've hit against him. You were 4 for 9 against this guy, and he can be devastating out there.
Well, we talked a little bit yesterday about how good Justin Verlander is, and I think he's even better than the Clayton Kershaws and Zach Greinke's, only because he gives you so many quality pitches to hit. He comes after you, throws fastballs out over the plate. He gives you a slider, gives you a curveball. He'll throw strikes. And you walk back to the dugout sometimes shaking your head. Like, he threw 97 right there for you, but it's 97. And he may not be up there right now, but it's still going to be 94 and 95 all game.
All right, let's check out the men in blue. Behind the plate will be Tom Woodring at first base, Mark Carlson, Brian Gorman, the crew chief, over at second, and at third, Trip Gibson. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours, as Adam Eaton is the DH this afternoon. Adam on an 11-game hitting streak, and he drove in the tying run last night in that ball game. That was in the 9th inning. And that was just the second hit. With 1 out, Saladino had tripled, and Adam got him in to tie it, and we lost it in 10. So a beautiful day here in the Motor City. And the first pitch of the ball game. And that's fouled away. Verlander's big guy, 6'5", 225, out of Lakeland, Florida. Outfield shading him around to the left. Nice gap out there in right center. And Castellanos in on the grass, or at the cut of the grass, at third. 1-1 to count, and here at Comerica Park, 345 down the left field line, 330 down the right field line, 365 in right center, 370 in left center, and 420 dead away center. And another foul ball. Abreu on deck. Now, Verlander backs it off. Swat a bug away.
Can't seem to avoid that, B.
Adam backing it out. And here's the 1-2 delivery. Well, we talked about it, touched on it last night. He can foul some pitches.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Eaton's a stud. I really look forward to seeing him be on a team here when they, are in the playoff hunt, because I really think the team can feed off his energy. We talked about how he has a little power for being a smaller guy, but he's a strong kid. In the weight room, he's as strong as anybody. He's also a great leadoff hitter.
And that ball hit deep in the left center field. But they got a man there, and that man can cover some ground. So with one out, let's check out our picks to click. So Mangio, our director and the crew, they went with Trace, Brian, and Steve. They're going to go with Michael and J.J. Shearer and all the great folks at Ditka's and I. We're going to go with Giovanni Soto. So here's Abreu. Jose at 293, 29 homers, and 96 knocked in. Takes first pitch strike. He is 1 for 11 in this series, and lifetime against Verlander's had some success. 8 for 16 with 2 home runs.
Got to take that to the bank.
Yeah. Verlander is one of those guys that Abreu last year in his rookie season, when he faced these former Cy Young Award winners, he lit them all up for home runs.
Yeah, no scouting report really out yet, unless you really get with those international scouts before the season. But you get a guy who's a Cy Young, he's not really going to care. He's going to come after you and make him prove yourself here in the big leagues.
And also, when you sign a guy like Abreu, you don't want to start filling his head with information. Let him hit. Let him swing the bat.
Absolutely not. This guy's as pure hitter as they come.
Did you ever get the feeling that they were giving you too much information?
It happens all the time. There's paralysis by analysis, that saying. And as much as I love Greg Walker and Mike Gellinger, and we worked day in and day out, but there's often times where I should have just taken the reins and just went out there and just played the game.
Yeah, those two guys loved you too. Is that pitch fouled away? Yeah, walk. Looked upon you as like another son.
Yeah, it's rare these days when you find a coach who really wants it as bad as you do. I always have a soft spot in my heart for Greg Walker, what he did for me, and tried to help me daily get to that level of where I should have been.
That facet of the game has really changed, B.A. It's one now that, in my opinion, being around it every day like I have for so many years, over half a century, I don't think there's any question. In some cases, not in all cases, but in some cases, they just inundate them with too much info. I mean, it's just constant. It keeps on coming.
It's a long season, 162 games. Doing something 162 times plus spring training, pretty much 200 times of anything, can be mentally taxing. So you have to pick and choose your spots.
And the irony of that scenario we're talking about is talking with other managers and coaches around the league. They feel the same way. They feel it's just too much information they've been given to give their players.
Yeah, you look at some of these hitting coaches, it's not always the Hank Aaron's, or even you. I don't remember you being a hitting coach. You get these guys that just really know how to work with players. They gel and give them an opportunity.
Sometimes I had a guy that she played with came up to me the last time we played him. And talk, I heard that you know a lot about hitting. I want to talk to you about it. And I looked at him. I said, "You don't need any help. I've been watching him, swing the bat." I said, "You're swinging the bat great." And he looked at me, he smiled, and he says, "I wish other people would say the same thing."
Well, oftentimes, just giving someone a vote of confidence like that, it's all they need to hear.
That guy was David Ortiz.
Never heard of him.
I told him, I said, Poppy, you don't need any help. He just laughed and smiled. Here's the payoff pitch. And instead of Adam Eaton having a double-digit pitch at bat, this time it's Jose Abreu.
He did something last night I've never seen him do. I think Neftali Feliz threw him a 95-mile-an-hour cutter, foot and a half outside, and Abreu swung and missed. And it's crazy to think a guy as good as him will chase a pitch like that.
And there's ball 4. When he's going good, he very seldom chases a bad pitch. And when you see when he's not real sure of himself, or when he's watching him for 2 years now, or he's not where he wants to be, he'll chase a lot of pitches in the dirt that are bad.
On spring training, he's such a workhorse. He would be the first one and last one in the cage, an hour, 2 hours after the game, just setting that high tee up, hitting the ball the other way. A guy that size, that kind of discipline is special.
Here's Trace. Trace at 325, 4 homers, 13 knocked in. And that ball hits to right center field. Ghost is right there playing him perfect. That's to hang with them, and they're going to get the double play. And that'll retire the side. Trace, good approach on that pitch. But Jose thought it was going to be in there. And after half inning of play, our guys nothing, and the Tigers coming to bat. As let's check out starting lineup for Detroit. Top third of Ghost, Davis, and Kinsler. Middle third of Victor Martinez, J.D. Martinez, Nick Castellanos. Bottom third of Avila, McCann, and Machado. As you see, Miguel Cabrera is not in that lineup. And boy, what a big difference that makes to everybody in that lineup. And making his first major league start is our 22-year-old right-hander, Frankie Montas. Now look at Frankie. They got him listed at 6'2", 185.
Yeah, maybe when he was 12.
He's closer to 285 than he is 185. He's a big man.
Yeah, if that's not a typo, we're going to have a talk with the media.
Hey, look at that. What pitch? Comebacker. And Ghost is retired. He is now 1 for 8 in the series. So here's Rajai Davis. 34-year-old veteran outfielder hitting at .257, homers, 27 driven in. Tajay 2 for 7 in the series. Tigers come in hitting at .270 as a club. That's pretty good with a 4.70 ERA, and that's pretty bad. There's a strike.
We mentioned a little bit last night about how Rajai Davis is one of those guys that kind of flies under the radar, and once you know it, he beats us with that double, triple down the right field line.
He does that. He's done that so much in his career against us. In every uniform he's been in, when he was in Oakland, Toronto, it didn't make any difference. He just hurt us.
Yeah, well, he's a guy that you like. I mean, he plays the game the right way. He tracks a ball down the outfield, and he's got great speed, so obviously he's going to utilize that.
Yeah, he gives you everything he's got every day. That's foul back.
Scouting report's true on Frankie. He's bringing it today. His last pitch was 97.
Well, Frankie has got a little Kansas City special. He gets a lot of those against us as well. Little flare, little duck snort into left.
You know, one of the problems when you throw that hard, sometimes you're going to jam a lot of hitters, and these guys are grown men. They possess the strength to get it out to the outfield, and you're just going to have to wear that one.
Have you seen Kansas City play much this year?
I've heard you mention a couple of the Kansas City specials.
I want to tell you what, it's amazing. And that's part of their arsenal. They don't strike out. The last time we played them, they had struck out over 200 times fewer than any other team in baseball. They put the bat on the ball.
And they're aggressive, too.
Yeah, they put the bat on the ball. And they get more. And when I say Kansas City specials, I'm not demeaning them. I am complimenting them. I would love to have our club get more of those like the Royals do.
I agree. Well, I bought Kinsler about a 2-pound juicy burger last night for dinner, so hopefully it bogs him down today and doesn't do anything against us.
He's hitting at .299. 11 homers, 71 knocked in. Kinsler, since he's come into this league, one of the better high fastball hitters in the American League.
You know, if you have a great fastball in the last 5 years, probably not the best idea to start Kinsler off with one. Between leadoff home runs, and I think he's got CC Sabathia and King Felix in the book twice in a game.
Well, but he's the kind of hitter. When you get a guy like that who can turn a high fastball around, you can go about it your own way, but the end result has to be you have to prove to him that you can get a breaking ball over in any count.
Yep.
If you put that specter of that in his mind, then you got a chance to be dangerous against him. But if you don't, if he's just sitting dead red and you give it to him, you're in trouble.
Well, back in the day, you could buzz his tower a little bit inside, but nowadays you get fined or suspended, so you don't see too many pitchers going in hard and soft away.
No, he's the kind of guy that in my time zone, in our time frame, when you're going over him in a meeting, one of the things that would come up would be, let's see how you can hit that fastball sitting on his butt.
Sure. I mean, we have many meetings where like, hey, you got to jam. If you're going to go in, you got to go in. But
right.
If he's looking there and he gets his hands through, there's not much you can do about it.
He fakes. Joe couldn't find the ears on it. And the count 2-1. Not a bad crowd on hand. We've had some big numbers here. There's a strike. They're averaging almost 34,000 a game.
It's pretty good. It's beautiful out here. I think these Detroit natives are so worried about the winter coming that they don't care if the Tigers are in first or last. When the weather's this nice, they're going to be out here at the ballpark.
Oh, this is one of the great franchises in the game. Always has been and always will be. Fouls that down. Something that he's done this year against us that he's done more than he has in the past. When he's gotten his fastball to hit, he hadn't put them all in play like he normally did. He's fouling some off, he's popping some up, you know, and that tells me that he's got some mechanical in his thinking at the plate.
He's definitely made some smaller adjustments. Like his hands are a lot higher than they used to be.
He gone. 2 down.
One of the pros and cons of being a great fastball hitter is you try to get in, and, you know, get off on a lot of those pitches inside. And I think Frankie threw him a little front door slider, hung up there, and Frankie throws too hard. Even his off-speed pitches are a little bit harder than average. Got by him.
So here is Victor. He's hitting at .241, 10 homers, and he's driven in 60. Dangerous both sides, but really dangerous right-handed.
You mentioned yesterday I had the pleasure of playing with Victor in Boston. Just a consummate pro. Goes about his business the right way, and I actually always thought he was a better hitter left-handed because his swing's a lot smoother, and it's really something if you're left-handed you want to model your swing after. He's a big guy, can hit for power, but he really accepts those base hits the other way.
First few years we saw him, I thought he was a better hitter left-handed as well.
Seemed like he hurt us more than less that, obviously because you're facing more right-handers, because we don't have. In years when he first got here, we didn't have all these left-handers in the rotation that we have today. There he goes. And it's deep. And it's 2-0. That's his 11th. And he has 62 RBIs. And here's our Ford home run replay. Just enough to get it over.
Yeah, he didn't crush that pitch, but you know, I don't care how hard Frankie throws. When you start facing these seasoned veteran guys, you're going to have to hit your spots or they're going to make you pay.
JD Martinez takes that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-0 the count. That's the 145th home run for the Tigers.
That was Vic Martinez's 200th career. I actually thought he had more than that.
I did too. I did too. Over the years, seems like he's had 30 or 40 against us.
Yeah, no, that's this kid right here. I mean, we talked about potent lineups and Toronto and what they bring to the table. I can't believe Detroit's sitting where they are with the offense they have between Kinsler, the two Martinez, Miguel Cabrera.
Well, when you don't have a bullpen, I don't care how good your hitting is, you're going to lose. When you don't have a bullpen, I don't care how good your starters are, you're going to lose.
Yeah. There's so much truth to that. You look at every single successful team these last few years, the Giants, Cardinals. I mean, they just have lights out bullpens. Kansas City's probably the best in the league.
And there's ball 4. We play the last 3 games of the season against these guys. This is the 16th meeting this year between these two clubs. In the first 15, we have won 7. '23-year-old Nick Castellanos hitting at .252, 15 long ones, and 40. Checked at 70, knocked in.
Here's a guy batting .250 with 15 and 70, and that's, as a pitcher, that's the guy you get a break on.
Well, Nick can be had, I mentioned, as long as you keep it up on it. You get it down on him, he's going to probably hit the ball very hard, and he can take you out of here deep on a low fastball to right center. Sanchez. Ivy didn't pick it up very well, and Sanchez went a long way to make the play, but the 2-run homer by Victor Martinez, and it is 2-0 Tigers. Game brought to you by Miller Lights. 2-0 bad guys. Top of the 2nd inning. It'll be Cabrera, Garcia, and Ramirez. First pitch strike. That one at 89. Most I saw him last inning was 92. But you were talking earlier before the game about how the 100's not there anymore and never to return. But he's the kind of guy, he's shown all of us, whether you like him or not, he's a horse. He will take the ball, he will go out there, and he will adjust, and he will learn how to pitch it 92, 94.
Yeah, he's going to be the ace of this staff for as long as he's here, or at least the 1-2 guy. But
that's into left field, short left field, caught by Machado.
Yeah, he's won all the accolades, the MVP, Cy Young. It's the time in his career I think he's got to take his experience and pitch smarter, not harder. And the 100, knowing him and how arrogant he is on the mound in a good way, which makes him so successful, I give him a full offseason to recover and start fresh. And I promise you next year it'll be low to mid 90s, with that upper 90s late in the game. Put guys away.
Here's Avi. Avi 1 for 9 in the series. And lifetime against Verlander 1 for 6. Well, he was one of those rare breeds that first 4 or 5 years he was in the league. He'd start off 92, 93. Middle innings he'd be at 95, 96 if he had to reach back. And then you get the 7th, 8th, and 9th. There's Machado. 2 down. We've seen him many times in the 9th inning at triple digits.
Even though I've had a little bit of success off him, he would start me pretty much with a fastball middle of the way every time, like you said, 93, 94. Sometimes I get a hit, sometimes I pop it up to right center, going back to the dugout. Say, how do you miss that pitch? Because in the 5th through 7th inning, he's going to be throwing 96 to 100.
Yeah. Bartolo Colon was like that.
Still does that at 87 to 91. Watched him throw the other day, 380 fastballs and 2 curveballs.
Bartolo was one of my all-time favorite White Sox pitchers when he was with us. He can work the baseball better than anybody in the game.
His workouts are pretty interesting too.
That ball hit hard, foul.
I walked into spring training. We were both in big league camp when I was trying to pitch with the Yankees, and went in the weight room, and I started my workout, and he was doing forearm curls, forearm strengthening exercises, not rehabbing, just with heavy weight. The workout was done about 45 minutes later. He was still doing the same thing with no break. Apparently it works.
I remember a game Bartolo pitched against the Giants in our place. First 3 times up, he blew Barry Bonds away. We get to the top of the 9th inning. Man on base. He threw him a 98-mile-an-hour fastball just right underneath the neck. You have never seen a ball leave the park quicker.
Barry Bonds will do that to you. I saw that ball he hit up in the World Series off Troy Percival, and you can read Tim Salmon's lips, or Troy Gloss, someone in the dugout, and they say, that's the farthest ball I've ever seen hit.
And he choked up for all you youngsters out there. He choked up an inch, inch and a half on the bat.
He added on a little bit of size late in his career.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
How do you make your head grow?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. There's the old saying, you get your man strength, but I've never heard of a guy tacking on 30 pounds of muscle at 36.
Usually as you get older, you don't get better. Castellanos, and he gets him. So that is 3 up, 3 down for Verlander, and he leads it 2-0.
Battle turn to CSN Chicago for the best game day coverage in town. Starting at 2 p.m. join host Chris Bowden and former Bears Lance Briggs, Jim Miller, and Dan Jiggis for Bears pregame live presented by Meyer. Then after the game, flip back to CSN for player and coach reaction on Bears postgame live presented by Nissan. And it all begins Sunday at 2 on CSN Chicago. 2-0 Tigers. It'll be Avila, McCann, and Machado. 2-run homer by Victor Martinez if you're just joining us. And sitting in for Steve Stone, his former outfielder and member of the 2005 World Championship White Sox, Brian Anderson. Avila has a home run in this series, a long home run to left center field.
Always been a fan of Avila.
I have too.
Kind of came out of nowhere and came on the scene, hit 20, and kind of opened some eyes. And for all the people out there that say, oh, well, you know, his dad's the GM or the assistant GM, I said, try going 0 for 20 and then eating dinner with your boss at home.
I've been a fan of his because of the beating he has taken. I've never seen a catcher take more of a beating against us than Alex Avila. I mean, it's been unbelievable. And he just keeps getting back in there.
A lot of respect for some of these Detroit players, the way they're playing injured. You saw Miggy yesterday. They hit an infield pop-up 3 steps in front of him, and he was basically hobbling. You know, Vic Martinez hit that home run, and it took him 3 minutes to get around the bases, not because he was showing anybody up, because that's top speed right now.
The 2-2. That's just off the plate. He called him out. We'll take it. He gone. 1 down.
I think he got him on the check swing there, because that pitch looked like it was about 8 inches off the plate. But yeah, he did go around.
Yeah, he went around. He went around.
Don't see that too often. Check swing at 98. You're checking your swing at a nasty off-speed pitch in the dirt.
Here's McCann hitting at 270, 7 homers and 37 knocked in. He had an RBI single last night to put him on top 1-0. If you missed that game last night, Daniel Norris went 5 innings through 63 pitches of perfect baseball. We did not get our first runner on in that game last evening until Adam Eaton was hit by a pitch leading off the 7th. We did not get our first hit in that game until the top of the 9th with 1 out. Tyler Saladino tripled, and then Eaton knocked him in to tie the game at 1. And then a 2-out walk to Anthony Gose. Is that ball in the left? Melky, yes. Beautiful catch by Melky.
Great play. Still on the ground there. I wonder if he's knocked the wind out of himself. Melky's always been good, Hawk. That guy can really track it down in the outfield. He's always on the highlight reel, making, extending, throwing guys out. When he was with New York, he really had a great arm too.
He's a heck of an outfielder, and you hear some people say, well, he's not that good. I heard he's not that good. Well, they hadn't seen him play like we have.
No, he can play. Make no mistake about that.
Here's Dixon Machado. 0 for 6 in the series.
I think White Sox fans want to evaluate the season and the players' numbers. I think you really got to look at some of these guys when things are going well. See how they gel together when they gain some traction, get some momentum, and get in a playoff chase, because that's where guys like Melky Cabrera come into play with his experience.
Well, I hate the term. It's one of the worst terms a person in baseball can ever hear. And that's
Wait till next year.
Yep. I've fallen victim to that too many times. Struggling offensively, you know, you always want a fresh start because you know you dig yourself into a hole, but next year's not always promised to you.
Two balls, two strikes. 2 runs, 2 hits. No errors for them. No runs, no hits, no errors for us. Also in that game last night, Quintana went 7 innings, giving up just 1 run. Another terrific performance by our 26-year-old southpaw, picking up another no decision. That was the only break he got. He got off the hook.
Yeah. Again, I told you yesterday, or this morning, I walked in clubhouse and he was sitting there, smile on his face. Hey, how's it going? And walked right to the weight room to get his work in.
Jose Quintana's a wonderful person. He is one of the nicest young men we have ever had in a White Sox uniform. Payoff. There he is. One of the quietest guys on the club. Loves to laugh, but he doesn't say a whole bunch. And as Brian alluded to, he is one of the hardest workers we have. He gone. And that'll retire the side. We're into the third, trailing by 2. Use hashtag Chicago Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Lower third of our order: Sanchez, Olt, and Soto to face Justin Verlander. Verlander 58 games over 500 in his career, 155 up and 97 down.
It's an amazing stat. You look at some of even the great pitchers early in his career. I mean, they're right around, hovering around 500 or just above.
Carlos 3 for 6 in the series with a homer. Can I check it up? We're in an age of, I've never seen as many check swings.
Yeah, I just did everyone a favor, and if it's going to be a curveball in the dirt, just take a full swing. Get out of there.
Grab some bench, huh?
Start fresh tomorrow.
Yeah. 0-2. And I want to take a moment to send out a big White Sox shout out and hello to Georgia Reynolds, watching in today out in Tucson, Arizona.
He's back-to-back days.
She deserves it.
She sure does. Wonderful grandmother. Tried to find the game yesterday, started crying because she couldn't figure it out.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get it taped to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Get John Waldron to get you a couple of tapes, a couple of discs of the games.
He took care of me yesterday showing that highlight from 2008. I didn't think he's going to break the yearbook out.
Got him. First strikeout for Verlander.
That's something we talked about earlier, Hawk. You know, he may not have that 95, 96 consistently during the game, but he will drop a 84-mile-an-hour changeup on the black down and away, leave you shaking your head.
Well, he's starting to work the ball more, and that shows you a guy who makes adjustments. You can cancel a post-game show. Brian's Pick to Click. And join us at U.S. Cellular Field on Saturday, October 3rd, as the Sox host these Tigers at 6:10. Now, the first 10,000 fans will receive an exclusive stretch sale action figure, and that is really a neat giveaway right there. His arms stretch out, his legs stretch out. So far, tickets and more information, visit whitesox.com.
That might take over the bobblehead. That thing looks a lot cooler to play with than a bobblehead.
Well, that's hard to play with a bobblehead. This one you can have a lot of fun with.
Still got my Toby Hall bobblehead. My little brother broke it though, so I had to super glue his neck back on. But still one of my cherished memorabilia items.
Toby Hall, boy, was a blast from the past.
Top 5 best teammates, not even close.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Cannot have a bad day around that guy.
That's the way I viewed Mark Burley.
Can't argue that one either. Shoot, when we had Toby, some of the fans may not know, they backing up AJ, but he needed surgery. I mean, he probably should have had it, but he wanted to tough it out and help us win. I mean, he was throwing some balls like grenades down to second base, and the other team just couldn't figure out that they could literally walk to second base. But you know, he didn't want to complain, didn't want to miss the season, so he stuck it out.
There he goes. He gone. So his first attempt at a stolen base. Grab some bench.
Well, White Sox runners his last 2 games been scarce. You try to get something going and get a veteran right-hander like Verlander on the mound. He's a quick move to first. Tough to get a good jump on him.
What? And he never looks over.
Ever.
Never looks over. I mean, you know, they'll give him a sign sometimes to throw over, but most of the time he'll just sense it and he'll throw over on his own.
Well, it's a couple of years he led the league in pickoffs as a right-hander, which is just unheard of.
1-2 pitch.
As good as he was, imagine having that in your back pocket, your arsenal, knowing that you could pick somebody off if and when they did reach base.
Castellanos. Well, he's had a couple base runners. Meanwhile, he's faced the minimum, and he leads it 2-0.
head-to-head against the rival Red Wings. Preseason hockey live from Detroit, starting tonight at 6:30 on CSN Plus. And we'll be going after this game to the Big Apple for 4 days.
Funny you mentioned that those are advertising. Blackhawks are advertising on air with us. As much as they've been winning, pretty much sells itself at this point, doesn't it?
Well, we said it yesterday. To me, again, it's they're the most exciting team in all of sports when they're healthy.
Yeah.
Top of the order: Ghost, Davis, and Kinsler. Ghost hit the first pitch of the ball game, sharply hit back to Frankie. And the Hawks beat the Red Wings last night in overtime 5-4.
Going over the Tigers lineup right now with Ghost leading off and Rajai Davis hitting second, Kinsler, so on and so forth. Other than Miguel being out of there, maybe in Iglesias being hurt, this should be that starting lineup 2016.
Iglesias is some kind of player.
Yeah.
He's about as good as it gets at shortstop, and he was hitting 300. There's a strike. But again, it doesn't make any difference if you don't have a bullpen. You're going to lose, and that's the culture of this game today. That's been one of the most interesting things. That's been the biggest, to me, that's been the biggest change in baseball in the last 50 years. It's been the bullpen. It's gone from bullpens being really nondescript and okay, every now and then you might find a good guy out there in the pen, to whereas today if you don't have it, you lose.
You mentioned yesterday, a little bit before pregame today, when you played, you said the bullpen usually consisted of a lot of pitchers that weren't doing well, starting pitchers. They got sent to the bullpen as almost punishment, or just like we would if we weren't starting in the outfield. And
sure,
nowadays they stack them with 95 plus with unbelievable off-speed pitches.
We never had to face that. We might face. They had some hard fours. Nice little pick, plant, peg, 1 out. We had guys like Raditz, those guys who could get it up there 100, but they were few and far between.
Sure. You look at some of these guys, you want to look at an uncomfortable at bat. Watch when Craig Kimbrell's on the mound, and when he's healthy, 97 to 100 with an off-speed pitch at about 86, and it's 12-6. And if he wants it to tilt, he'll make it tilt.
Rajai, Alexei couldn't find the ear, so that'll be a base hit. Did a good job just to get to it. So Davis now 2 for 2.
Alexei almost makes a phenomenal play here, but I'm not sure he could have gotten Rajai Davis even if he would have been able to get some mustard on that throw. Rajai can really cook down the line.
Yeah, anybody else he could have, or except for Ghost and Rajai. So here is Kinsler, struck out.
Nice catching up with Kinsler last night. A late dinner.
Yeah, for all of you out there who did not hear the game last night, Kinsler and Brian Anderson are best of friends. Played ball together. And it's time right now for the AT&T UVerse Multi-View. Good speed at first. He has 18 stolen bases in 24 attempts. Gap out there in left center. There he goes. And that ball in the short right field. And it's going to fall to Kansas City special.
If you believe in the baseball gods, Ian was praying to him this morning, because the only way that ball falls, or at least Sanchez doesn't come close, if we got the runner moving there. You could see him at first base kind of laughing it off.
So a meeting of the minds at the mound. Soto, Montas, and Alexei. And here's Victor.
Tell you what, Hawk, this game, these first 3 innings feel like it's taken 10 times longer than yesterday.
Oh,
we were in the 6th inning in 45 minutes, it felt like.
Well, we had no hits, no base runners. And Quintana was pitching his behind off.
Per the usual.
Yeah. And here's what Victor did in the first inning.
All those young kids watching, I like to make note or make a point when you're a younger kid trying to overthrow and all you care about is velocity. I mean, Frankie's throwing 97 up there right now and missed a spot, and you see what happens.
Yeah, a lot of times some of them never learn, but some of them do. But it takes a long time for some of these young pitchers who have big arms to finally find out sometimes less is better.
You got it. And look at the guy on the mound for the Tigers right now. Arguably maybe the best pitcher over the last 10 seasons in either league. He's having to learn how to pitch with
less
velocity.
As strike evens count at 1. What made you decide to try to come back as a pitcher?
Just had a change of heart in spring training 2010. It was probably my best spring training as a hitter too. I just felt it was time for a change.
That ball hits him. Both runners will advance. That'll be E2.
Obviously, Gio's trying to create something here and help Frankie get out of the inning, but it's a dangerous play. High risk, high reward, but oftentimes that throw ends up being in the outfield or guy's safe.
And now they're going ahead, put him on to get to a man with 37 home runs. But you were talking about you wanted to change and you decided you wanted to go try pitching.
Yeah, I got with the staff of the Kansas City Royals, and I think I was making $700,000 or $800,000 a one-year deal, and I think they designated me and accepted a minor league assignment to start fresh, and I went from rookie ball to AAA in that season, and pretty much the only thing that kept me out of the big leagues was staying healthy and being able to throw back-to-back days. You see some of these guys pitch in 2 days, and fans tend to think, oh well, he gave it up the second game. Pitching back-to-back days in this league, and even 3 days in a row, it's tough. I couldn't do it, but I was fortunate enough to make it to AAA and had an amazing time doing it. Pretty successful, other than the fact staying healthy. And staying healthy is, in my opinion, the majority of the battle.
Well, some guys just don't recover as quickly as others. And you get some guys, they can go out there 3 or 4 days in a row.
Call them rubber arms, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, but as you'll notice over the years, that term has been used less and less and less and less.
Well, it's just the laws of physics. You look at any power arm out there. I mean, look at Joel Zumaya, great pitcher. Strasburg, all have elbow, shoulder problems.
I've always said, I played all the sports. I played football, I played basketball, I played baseball. I always said, to me, the toughest position in all sports to play is a pitcher. Because every time you throw a baseball, your career is on the line.
No, there's a lot of truth to that.
It can go at any time. You can pop it. You can pop that elbow. You can tear your rotator cuff. And you're going to get over 100 opportunities to do it if you're a decent pitcher every game you start.
Yeah, you know, they did a study. Feel free to Google it at home if you don't believe me. But they say if it weren't for the forearm muscles and the surrounding flexor tendons and things of that nature, that an 88-mile-an-hour fastball, the force that puts on your arm will snap the UCL, the ulnar collateral ligament, every time. This goes to show you the force and the strain that pitching puts on your arm, and that's why I encourage parents out there with 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, really do a good job and swallow your pride and give them the necessary rest, because it's really not fair what it could do to them in the future.
Well, they've got that physician, that surgeon, orthopedic surgeon in Houston. I saw a piece on, I think it was HBO. That's all he does all summer long. Operates on kids 9 to 15. The Tommy John surgery. All summer long. Because the parents and the coaches let them throw breaking balls. And if they watch TV and they see Major League, they're going to try to do what Major League players do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's trouble. Fair ball. And it's a 5-0 game. No, one hopper.
Yeah, it's tough to see from your angle right here. I was even looking around. And sometimes you got to take risks if you're Robin Ventura, Don Cooper. Well, it's tough to walk a guy to get to a guy with 37 home runs, but JD's been on fire this year. And double down the line.
Well, without question, JD's been the most productive hitter in that lineup this season. So now, infield, they're in. Actually, halfway is Castellanos. Popped up short right field, and Sanchez went way out to make a beautiful catch. Four, 5-0 for them, 0-1-1 for us here in the bottom of the third.
I mean, obviously this is not the situation the White Sox want to be in, but September, both teams don't really have anything to lose, so it's a good chance you'll see a lot of the White Sox bullpen, the staff, allow the upper brass to take a look, see what they got for next season.
I hope they do. 1-2. Castellanos 4 for 9 in this series. And that pitch low and away. That's off the glove of Volt. Another one crosses the plate. That was 5-0. You just keep messing around with Castellanos downstairs, and he's going to get you. I'm telling you, it's amazing. We have pitched him low, and all he's done is hurt us.
Yeah, even when I was struggling, you do not want to throw a big league pitcher or a big league hitter down and away. Allow him to get extended, and to his credit, he does a good job of keeping his hands back on that pitch, off-speed pitch down and away. But like you said, Hawk, he's not the guy you want to throw down in the zone.
No, but that swing he's got.
I know it's easier for us up here in the booth, but I'm sure Don Cooper will let Frankie know that if you're going to miss, you got to miss off the plate where he can't hit it, and if you're going to attack him, you got to attack him up in the zone and beat him in.
There's Alex Avila, struck out on a check swing. Takes strike one. Very seldom you see a right-handed hitter with a left-handed hitter swing. Castellanos is that guy.
Yeah, allows him to lag and hit those off-speed pitches down in the zone.
0-2.
Got to wonder with Frankie's arm too, sitting mid to upper 90s. At least I did when I was throwing hard and I was healthy. If I was going to get beat, I was going to get beat with a fastball. Get beat with your best pitch, not messing around with an off-speed pitch.
What speeds were you hitting when you were pitching?
It depends on if I was fresh or I had to go. It made me go back-to-back days, but I think on my best day it was 95 to 98, and the days where my arm was hanging, which was a lot, it was low to mid 90s.
Scott Carroll down in our pen. 98 for a former position player is bringing it. It's 6-0. Sox fans join big man from Gary, Ron Kittle, also Harold Baines and Carlos Sanchez on November 28th for the Sox on the Beach Apple Vacation. The 7-night all-inclusive hotel stay will be at the Iberostar Paraíso del Mar in beautiful Riviera Maya, Mexico. There will be a private welcome party and autograph session with your White Sox host. So visit applevacations.com/White Sox to book your trip today.
I never had those media appearances when I was playing.
Four runs across here in the bottom of the third so far. They had two in the first on that two-run homer by Victor Martinez. McCann flares that one foul. He got robbed of extra bases on a beautiful catch by Melky.
There's guys out there like Trace who run like a gazelle and look smooth, and may not look like it on TV because Melky's a pretty bulky guy. Runs a little more stiffness, but he covers some ground and makes the plays.
That's popped up. And that'll retire the side, but a big crooked number goes up on that board. We'll go to the fourth, trailing by half a dozen. Light. There will be Latin music and dancing, special activities for kids, and an on-field parade. Also a post-game fireworks show. Wow, big night. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Miller Lite, official beer of your Chicago White Sox. And tickets start as low as $10. So visit whitesox.com/NHH. We got a long haul in front of us if we're going to do anything in this game. We trail at 6-0. There's ball one to Adam Eaton. Adam 0 for 1, lined out to Ghost in left center field. It's one of those line drives that Ghost got there in a hurry.
I don't care if Verlander's stuff's not up to par or on his personal level yet, but you give this guy a 6-run cushion, you got problems.
And that's going to be not playable. I made a mistake one time in Yankee Stadium when we were doing a game, and Roger Clemens was in his heyday. Excuse me, it wasn't Yankee Stadium, it's Fenway Park. Roger Clemens, that's when he was in his heyday. We start the second inning. They scored 9 runs in the first inning. We start the second inning 9-0 down to Roger Clemens. And I forget who my partner was. I said, you can wrap this one up and send it to Cooperstown. He never got out of the fourth.
Wow. Well,
never got out of the fourth.
From what I recall during the World Series, I was able to sit there and kind of enjoy the game, kill some sunflower seeds, but I think we did some damage to him when he came in from Houston.
Kinsler. One down. And talking about catches, all Sox fans will remember this one. In game 163, the guy sitting right beside me made this play.
Perfectly timed, right, huh? I told you I took 2 or 3 false steps just so I could do something to contribute that year.
Put a little mustard on it, huh?
Oh, yeah, and then I didn't want Bobby Jinks to kill me. He was a little bit bigger than me.
That was some kind of catch. Here's Abreu. Pretty good pitch. Goes Jose's way. Abreu walked. One out, 1-1 to count.
Tell you
Pitch
what,
at 92.
I got to hold a baseball today with Mickey Mantle's signature, Ted Williams, Frank Robinson, and Carl Yastrzemski. And I was commissioned to go downstairs and get Miggy's autograph. Baseball full of MVP Hall of Famers.
All Triple Crown winners. That baseball belongs to a friend of mine for about 30 years now, Jeff Morrill. And that baseball worth a lot of money.
I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just taken it on the plane and went home.
He gets him upstairs. Just a second strikeout for Verlander, and that'll bring up Trace. Trace hit a line drive.
It sure must be nice, Hawk, to be able to say, hey, I'm having a down year on the mound and my stuff's not what it used to be, but here's 94 by you.
Yeah.
That's when you know a pitcher's really good.
In my career, I've seen a lot of guys who have lost their stuff, tried to come back,
and never could make the adjustment. And I've seen some who made the adjustment and were even tougher to hit after they lost that 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like Greg Maddux, who made a career out of hitting his spots. I've talked to a few scouts and coaches that scouted Greg Maddux when he was in Las Vegas. He said he used to throw low to mid-90s in high school. And I can't remember him throwing a pitch over 90.
One and two the count. Trace lined out to right center. Had a good approach on the line drive that Ghost raced over and caught. Just got a piece of it.
I know I'm a little bit biased, Hawk, but Trace by far is the player I'm most excited to watch throughout his career. Not only with being a fan of his father, a basketball player, and his brother's a great, phenomenal athlete, world champion, but this kid's going to have his own story over the next 10 years, and hopefully we're laughing about it in the next 10 years and 10-time All-Star.
Well, he's got what it takes. I think he's got what it takes in the heart. I think he's got the stones for it, and I think he's got the intellect, the baseball acumen for it.
Well, you mentioned you love the way he carries himself in the box. You want to see how good a guy's going. It's not often the swing or the result. Watch how he takes pitches. And Verlander threw a 94-mile-an-hour fastball up and in to Trace, and there was no head movement. Nice easy stride. Doesn't have that upper body take like you were talking about.
You can tell a lot about guys the way they take a pitch.
See on that last pitch, Justin Verlander throwing that 85-mile-an-hour slider. Early in his career, he was 97 to 100 with a 12-6 curveball, and then would throw that just to mess with you.
Here's the payoff. He reminds me so much the way I call it a sense of control. As a hitter, if you don't work yourself into having a sense of control when you step in that box, that means the pitcher's got it, because one of the two of you are going to have a sense of control.
Yeah, it's a battle.
That's exactly
someone's got to win.
Exactly. And Trace looks to me like he's going to develop into having that sense of control. There's a good at bat. Close pitch, good take. You saw how easy he took that pitch. Well, I told you yesterday, I've been following him since first time I saw him in spring training. He's a striking guy, striking young talent. And you watch those guys, and that's the first thing I do every year when I go to spring training since he's been with us. I go down and watch Trace and see how he looks. And you could just see him growing a little bit each and every year.
Yeah, and you see the sabermetric stuff they come out with in the last 5 or so years that become public knowledge. Before that, though, when you look at a body like a baseball body, you look at Trace Thompson, and that's the first thing people see is 6'3", but more like 6'4".
Yeah,
can move like that. And
that ball hit deep. Stretch. He looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes. A good at bat by Trace Thompson gets us a 2-run homer from Melky Cabrera. Melky has number 12, and he has 75 knocked in. And let's check out our Ford home run replay.
Yeah, Justin Verlander definitely didn't want that pitch to end up there, and if he did, he's probably talking to his catcher right now about why he called it, because Melky absolutely clobbers those pitches.
And it could be that Justin was just a little bit upset with himself for walking Trace, and all of a sudden, poof, you make a mistake and somebody takes you out.
Yeah, after Melky hit that ball, he walked down there to talk to the umpire, and it probably had something to do with Trace's at bat.
And of course, with that home run, the Alex Nelius family, along with Christine O'Reilly and White Sox Charities, will hook up again in loving memory of Ursula. Christine O'Reilly, our Tsarina, our Empress of White Sox baseball and White Sox Charities.
Christine O'Reilly's amazing, isn't she?
She is absolutely. I've never seen a female like Christine O'Reilly. I've never seen a female age that does never age. She never ages.
Yeah, she's looked the same for the 12 years I've known her. 13 years, she looks the exact same.
I've known her for over 30 years, and she looks exactly like she did 30 years ago.
And that's a compliment, Christine. When you tell a woman you look the same, that's a good thing.
There's some interesting. First through the third, he's good. Fourth through the sixth, he's bad. Seventh and the ninth, he's pretty good.
It's actually an amazing stat. I thought he'd be a lot better. I think I mentioned on there with Chuck Garfien one day. My college coach Andy Lopez told me, games are won and lost in those 4 through 6 innings. The first 3 innings, everyone's excited to be out there, and the last few innings is, it's crunch time, and you got the closer on the mound. It's these middle innings where things happen, change the course of the game.
That ball into left field, and Rajay is there. But the walk to Trace Thompson, and the home run by Cabrera, and it's a 6-2 Tiger lead. Fan photo to hashtag Chicago at Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. And there's another nice photograph. Pitching change right here. Scott Carroll coming on for Frankie Montas. Frankie, first major league start in his 6th major league appearance, went 3 innings, giving up 6 runs. And as Brian Anderson, who was sitting in with me last night and today for Steve Stone, was talking about earlier, it doesn't make any difference how hard you throw. You can be throwing 97, 98, 100. If you don't hit your spots against major league hitters, you're going to pay the price.
Been looking forward to watching Scotty throw all year. I haven't had a chance to see him pitch in person.
He's done a terrific job in the times that he has come up for us.
Yeah, I don't picture him going anywhere. I think he's going to be a middle innings guy, maybe even a 5th starter. I think he's got the potential to do both.
Where he's really been good for us is first man out.
Yeah, from what I heard, if he could just learn where to park his car, and
that's cool.
get to his car on time and don't get stolen.
He was getting called up, and they stole his SUV. Dixon Machado, he's 0 for 1, struck out. Alexei on the move, long peg, and that'll be a base hit.
Yeah, this is not an easy play. Although fans out there have seen Alexei make this play plenty of times. You have a good speed running down the line. Can't really set your feet and make a strong throw.
So here's Ghost. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded back to the pitcher, and he's grounded out to Sanchez at second. Big gap out there in right center. If he hits that gap, you can see at least 3, maybe 4.
Run for days in right center at this ballpark. It's unbelievable how big it is.
Yeah.
The one and only triple was here, Hawk.
Really?
Which is probably my most embarrassing stat, with the way I can run around the bases. I think I faced Nate Robertson here. If I'm not mistaken, hit a triple in that gap. And I mean, if it goes out there, if it goes to the wall, you're standing up.
Nate Robertson, left-hander. Yeah, with your speed, you think you had a lot of triples.
Nate Robertson, former pitcher for Tigers, lefty. I think he's part owner of the independently Wichita Wingnuts team now.
Oh, Wingnuts, huh?
That's a little fast fact for you today, Hawk.
1-2 the count.
Can't get over how nice the weather is in Detroit.
How about it? You weren't with us in Cleveland. We had weather very similar.
I just don't buy it.
I know it. Isn't that unbelievable? Just like this. It was
every day I woke up in Cleveland. Overcast, freezing, and Cliff Lee was blowing my thumbs up.
Oh, I tell you, I can't ever remember any better weather. All right. Now, rack them up. 2 down. Yeah, that's as good a weather as I've ever seen in Cleveland. I've been going there since 1963.
Well, it's the nicest weather I've seen here. You know, when you reflect on your career, Hawk, and I'm sure there's probably ballparks you enjoyed playing at more than others, but I do not have the fondest memories of playing in Cleveland. For some reason, I saw the ball fine there, and felt good in the outfield, but sure didn't help with some of the pitchers they had on the mound, with Sabathia, Lee, and Westbrook. But I just felt like I could not sniff a hit at that ballpark.
Well, everybody, you got your places where you know you're going to hit. You got your places where, as you say, you just don't have that good feeling. And even though you saw the ball good there, it's who you're going to be looking at 60 feet 6 inches away a lot of times.
Yeah, true. But then you go to a place like Seattle, which is a pitcher's ballpark, no doubt. And I saw the ball like a beach ball there.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Steve asked me about that the other day, and I said it's all an individual thing, and it has a lot to do with the backdrop. So I don't care if it can be solid dark green, it can be any, and sometimes you just can't pick it up. Because that's Rajay getting his 3rd hit of the ball game. What new?
He might try to go to 3rd here.
Yeah, he is. And here is the throw. He's going to get there. That's his 10th triple.
I like to talk to the kids watching out there and the parents. I mean, any of you kids with some speed out there, the ball gets hung up in that corner, even if the outfielder has a great arm, to be able to turn and throw and make a strong throw to third base to get you out, chances are slim to none. So always round the second base hard and anticipate going to third base, and ball shakes around in that corner, be there standing up.
Well, if you're a good base runner like Rajai Davis, you don't even need coaches. You don't need a first base coach. You don't need a third base coach. All your real good base runners never use coaches.
No, you're right. We talked about that yesterday, and you see these kids running the bases, you know, trying to pick up their third base coach on a single to center in the gap. Like, you don't need, you make your own call. Once that ball's down the right field line, there's really no reason you should be picking up your third base coach unless you're rounding third, and he'll let you know if you should hold up or not.
Here's Kinsler, a strikeout, and a Kansas City special into right field. And that's a fair ball. It's going to be a base hit and an RBI. And it's 7-2.
You know, 1 through 9, these guys can hit, Hawk. Get a guy like Kinsler up there with a man on third base, running a scoring position. More oftentimes than not, those veteran guys are going to get him home.
Here's Victor. 2-run homer in the first. He was intentionally walked last inning, and he came around to score. Now Sanchez out there in short right field. Alexi on the first base side of second. Big gap in right center. And Alexi's going to get him. But they come up with another one on the RBI single by Ian Kinsler, and it's Tigers by 5. So visit Athletico.com and start defining your pain-free inner athlete today. Athletico, the official physical therapy provider of our White Sox. Athletico, better for everybody.
Here's Alexei. Verlander has a 7-2 lead. 7-9-0 for them. 2-2-1 for us. Alexei went out to Castellanos at third.
You know, looking over Alexei's stats right here, Hawk. Someone his ability. I know he's having a down year, but it's another guy. Really hope can bounce back next season, fresh start, and maybe pick up some momentum early.
That ball in the left field. Rajay right on the track. I would say we've got a lot of guys in that category. This has been a very befuddling season.
It's tough when you play in the bigger cities. I mean, you win a championship too. A lot of expectations.
That's the right word. Mr. Expectations will get you. And coming out of spring training, every White Sox fan around the country, every White Sox player, everybody associated with the White Sox organization, we were at a high of expectations. So the fall is much longer and deeper when you got that kind of expectations and you perform like we performed this year.
Yeah, and the kind of money Jerry and his partners are spending, you'd have that kind of payroll, those expectations increase tenfold.
Oh boy. Carlos, there's some bright spots. One of them's right at the plate right now. Trace Thompson's another one. Saladino's another one.
Yeah.
We've got a good pitching staff, and we've got a good bullpen.
Young players too, like you said, Sanchez, Trace, 22, 23, 24 years old. There's Debo over there muffing that
again
foul ball.
Darryl Boston, one of the best knuckleball hitters you ever want to see.
One of my favorite coaches ever, because I'll tell you what, you drop a fly ball in practice, and even if it's 30 feet over your head that he hit, he's still yelling at you. That ball's got to be caught.
Got him. 2 down. Darryl had a hitch had a movement is a better way to put it, not a hitch. He had a movement in his swing that he could never get out. And if he could have been some kind of. He could run, he could throw.
He's a large human being. I mean,
he's a big. He's a big guy.
He's a big boy. I mean, you figure a guy that size run into 15 to 20 every year, and he did a couple years, but had that hitch like you talked about.
Well, he could hit it. He could hit it as far as you.
I mean, Debo. I give a lot of credit. The reason why I cover a lot of ground in center field is because he goes out there with the outfielders in spring training and works with them daily.
I'll do it right-handed. Of course, he was left-handed hitter.
Yeah, I was guilty of that quite a few times, casting out and getting around the ball.
Casting out. That's what he could never get out of casting it. Just when he's getting ready to throw the pitches, his hands would move out to the plate.
I always wonder if he did that since he was a little kid, or if that's something he developed at the big league level.
He did it ever since he had a White Sox uniform on. That's why he was such a good knuckleball hitter.
Yeah. My pick to click is up right here.
All right, still 7-2. As we get set to go to the bottom of the 5th inning. 7-9-0 for the Tigers. 2-2-1 for us. 2-run homer by Melky Cabrera. As here's JD. He has walked and he has doubled. Look for a second. We couldn't see from our angle vantage point here. Just watching Melky. Gave up on it and it appeared the ball was out of here, but it did go out on a hop. Gap out there in left center.
You see the scouting report on JD is center fielder shifted to the right a little bit. Avi's straight up and so is Melky, but even in batting practice, this guy and early in this count fouling the ball off the other way and then he hooks a double, but most of the time he's trying to hit that right center gap.
Well, that's why there are so many like scouting reports so ambiguous sometimes because of the fact you might have your advanced scout see a guy when he's working on something. And all of a sudden now you're going to play him a week later or a few days later. And he's already he's figured it out. Now he's completely different than the Leighton you saw 3 or 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, when Detroit acquired him and from talking to Kinsler, he said this kid has done a great job at really focusing on staying inside the baseball.
Well, his numbers going to prove that. I've been both ways. I was a dead pull hitter. And that means you're out and around it when you're a dead pull hitter. They played shifts on me like they do today. Short second base would be over there where Alexi is almost right now. And then all of a sudden you stink like that for 5 years. And then you learn how to, for the most part, stay inside it, and things start coming around your way, and poof, things change.
I think you can agree, though, there are some pull hitters that make a living, Jose Bautista and even Josh Donaldson over there in Toronto. Although they have the capability of going oppo and driving the ball to right center and staying up the middle, you see a lot of their home runs, they hit way back, and they're way back to left field.
Yeah. Well, you can, as we were just talking in the commercial break there, I always said this when you were with us. I said if Brian Anderson can ever learn to hit with short arms, he'd hit 40 home runs a year as strong as you were. Because nobody could hit the ball further than Brian. I remember that home run you hit in spring training one year. The ball had to go 550 feet.
I'll take 500, but if you want to give me the extra 50, that's fine.
It was one of the longest home runs I've ever seen hit. But you extended. You didn't know how to extend, and that's a bad word, as Beckham makes that play look easy.
Well, one thing I've learned kind of being away from the game or removing myself as a player is getting extended, late in your swing is better as opposed to trying to get extended
exactly
while you're back. Your power comes from, your core and having everything be strong. I mean, if someone's you're going to go punch someone, you're not going to start with your arm casted out and completely straight. You're going to coil it up right near your chest. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to learn that until I actually was away from the game and started pitching.
Yeah, and what happens too when you get away from it and you more or less resign yourself to the fact that you're not going to be a hitter, is your mind frees up. Your mind gets clear of all those bad thoughts and bad approaches that you had in your mind. They disappear, and you're able to see things. Well, boy, why didn't I do that when I was playing?
Yeah, I came back off the deal one time, went like 0 for 20. Finally got a hit and got on first base and asked Harold Baines, man, I didn't think I was ever going to get another hit. It was 0 for 20, and Baines, he said, oh, I've been a lot worse than that. And I thought, why don't you tell me? I mean, if you're going 0 for 30, 0 for 40, then it wouldn't have felt as bad.
He didn't do it very often. Harold Baines was a tremendous breaking ball hitter. And if you're a good breaking ball hitter, you're going to hit in the big leagues.
He also told me something else that stuck with me. He said, if you would have been or had to face some of these pitchers throwing these 93 mile an hour cutters, you know, from the right side, he said he'd have been in trouble. But watching him play, I mean, watching him play growing up, arguably one of the top 3, 4, 5 best DHs of all time.
Gordon, long way to go. Can't get there. He also was, for his time zone, one of the best clutch hitters in the game. Harold could get you in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, and all our fans have heard me say that many times over the years. And that has more than just getting a base hit in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. What that means is, in a close ball game, in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, you can be facing some of the best stuff they've got out there. And that's who he did it against. He didn't get some of that secondary pitching or some of those other. Harold did it off the best they had.
And he's a silent assassin too. I mean, he doesn't speak much. Well, I get a lot out of him in the weight room or something. I start talking to him about R&B music, and then he just goes on. A little fast fact about Harold: he loves R&B music. If you want to get on his good side, send him an album. I'm sure he's still got the vinyl.
He's the quietest player I've ever seen.
Well, that
Says
quiet,
fewer words.
That quiet got him a statue at U.S. Cellular.
That's right. He gone. 1, 2, 3 inning, and we're into the 6th, trailing by 5. Edition of Bears Huddle presented by Verizon. It all starts at 4:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Gio Soto will lead it off against Justin Verlander here in the top of the 6th inning, and Verlander has himself a 7-2 lead.
We're talking a little bit in the break, Hawk. So, who had the greatest natural power you ever saw?
Mike Howard. Nobody. And Mantle was there. Mickey, even though Mickey was a small guy, he had shoulders on like you, this wide.
Forearms, too, didn't he? Every picture I've ever seen.
Huge forearms and little bitty wrists. In fact, Willie Mays was the same way. Mays had big forearms, little bitty wrist. But nobody could hit it further than Hondo. Mickey hit, I believe, the only home run they've ever measured over 600 feet off Chuck Stobbs, a left-handed pitcher in old Washington ballpark. One out. 5 strikeouts now for Verlander. And fans, the First Merit Bank Stadium Club offers breathtaking views of U.S. Cellular Field and delicious food and beverage options for you to enjoy prior and during White Sox games. So for more information, call 312-674-1000. But right underneath Hondo, you got guys like Jim Thome. I mean, you know, Willie Stargell. You had some real long distance hitters.
I knew about Willie Stargell being a Dodgers fan growing up, not because he didn't play for him, but he hit one out of Dodger Stadium, and my dad always told me, he's like, Willie Stargell was the only player I ever saw hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium.
At that time, he was the only guy to ever do it. So here is Abreu with 2 down. He has walked and he has struck out. Well, not tell you, Brian, you got to put yourself in that somewhat category too. Not many guys could hit the ball further than you could.
Well, imagine how frustrating that was in BP, knowing you could put him off the Ivy here in batting practice and in Chicago and hit some.
I think that's one reason all the players gravitated towards you as far as pulling for you and wanting you to do well, because we all knew that you knew how much talent you had and it just wasn't coming out.
I mean, it's frustrating.
Damn right it is. Got to be. When you're a 5-tool guy and just can't figure it out. Wow. 1, 2, 3, and it's still a 5-run lead. You can play games, win prizes, and shop for White Sox gear. It'll be a weekend that you just don't want to miss. The players like it as well. They get up close and personal with all of you out there. And tickets are on sale right now. So to purchase, visit whitesox.com/SoxFest. Daniel Webb comes on for Scott Carroll, who went 2 innings. Scott gave up 1 run. So here is James McCann, the catcher. First ball, Honey pops it up. That's a count of corn for Avi.
Or is it?
Or is it his right? He almost played it. I've talked to our players. I've talked to other players. They say that this is the toughest park in the American League to pick up the baseball. I've also talked to our stage manager here, Jeff Morrill, who says that all announcers coming into this park have, especially in day games, trouble picking up the ball.
Yeah, I mean, those people that play in right field in Boston have a tough time with the sun, but you know, I remember Magglio Ordonez playing against them when he was in right field when he was healthy, losing quite a few balls, whether it be in the lights or in the day game, just not picking the ball up.
Well, I played right field in Boston. I know what that sun can be like. If you can't get an angle there, you can't play right field.
I was out there a couple times in 2009, and I think J.D. Drew was hurt or something, and I love playing the outfield, but it was very uncomfortable.
Well, that's the toughest outfield position in all of baseball to play, is right field in Fenway Park.
Yeah. You know, playing left field was probably my least favorite, only because the ball from right-handers, majority of the hitters, was coming in hot. You know, one of my first big league games, I played left field when Gary Sheffield was hitting.
Oh, boy.
And I'm not kidding. And I don't know if Harold Baines told me to, but if my heels weren't on the dirt, they were on the grass and the dirt. They're right on the base in left field. And when you know it, smokes a line drive right at me. I didn't even have to move.
Machado draws the walk. Yeah, Gary Sheffield, one of the greatest fastball hitters this game's ever seen.
We talked about being a successful pull hitter. There he is.
Oh, I've seen Gary when he was with the Yankees. I've seen him hit him over the third base dugout all the way out of Yankee Stadium. Over the third base dugout.
And you knew he was going to try to pull the ball, and you throw him in or you throw him a soft, off-speed pitch away, but he still found a way to generate enough whip to hook it to left field. And ironically enough, he's a Hall of Fame right-handed hitter.
Well, he's one of the best short arm hitters you ever want to see. He could hit with short arms and hit it 500 feet.
And how he did that thing he did with his bat where he just tilted it forward, how he ever got to his slot where he wanted to hit was so mind-boggling to us. No one else has ever done it. I think Kevin Millard tried it a little bit for a while there.
Yeah. Kevin was a pretty good fastball hitter.
Oh, yeah. We're playing him in Baltimore, and he'd get us a few times to left center.
That Kevin was a very good fastball hitter. So here's Ghost.
Kevin Millar found his niche, post playing with Chris Rose on the MLB Network.
Oh, they do a great job.
Cracks me up. I mean,
they do a great job.
You can really see how much he enjoys doing his job. He sits in his office at his house every day with a bunch of bobbleheads in the background and just makes fun of people. My dream job.
1 out, 1-2 the count. That's one of the most watched shows by the players. Foul ball.
It's a nice change of pace, though. I'm sure you'd agree. Fans love to watch baseball. We love to play baseball, but it's a nice change of pace every once in a while because it's a long season, a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure. You got to find something to occupy your time and keep it light in the clubhouse. And usually Kevin Millar on every team. Ours was Toby Hall.
Yeah, there's usually that one guy that'll do that. When he was here with us, we had a guy that was great at that, and that was Steve Sachs. He's one of the funniest guys you'll ever see in your life.
For me, that was Creedy, man.
The only thing is there could be no ladies around. That's out of play.
Imagine having a locker next to Joe Creedy your whole career and Carlos Quentin on the other side. I know Joe was
There's two extremes there.
As a fan, I mean, Joe's a fan favorite of the White Sox, as he should be. He's a phenomenal player, one of the best clutch hitters I ever played with.
Yeah.
But gosh, Most immature player ever. He put animal cookies in my shoes, and we just mess with each other every day.
That's a wild pitch. Well, I'll tell you what helped Joe, especially in that 05 season, was A.J. and Aaron throwing. They brought him out of that shell. You know, Joe used to go to the food room before a game with his crossword puzzle, sit there, wouldn't say a word, work that crossword puzzle, and then go put his uniform and go play the game. One of the quietest players, close to Harold Baines.
He's a country boy. He's a rancher now. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure the fans have gotten a chance to visit with Joe and his appearances back in Chicago, but he's a farmer.
And there's another guy that people didn't realize how strong he was.
Well, he was not a small guy. I mean, he's my height, but I think at the time he usually played around 240. Man, his back problems got the best of him.
Yeah. He gone. 2 down. Well, Joe will always be remembered by most White Sox fans as one of the greatest third basemen to ever put a White Sox uniform on.
If it wasn't for Eric Chavez, Chavi, I'm sure Joe would have had about 5 or 6 Gold Gloves in his back pocket as well.
Well, there were a couple of years there that he had better years than Eric, but Eric had the reputation, and also back in that time, a lot went with the lumber too, who was going to hit the most.
Both those guys get hit. Chavi had a couple, all-star years there with the bat and with the glove, but we used to just wear him out and give him a hard time because he always had that slide he did, the unnecessary slide to the side where, if he made the play, it was an amazing play, and if he missed it, it was an error. But because he got dirty and he technically slid or dove, however you want to say it, kept those errors off his baseball card.
Yeah, the 2 third basemen that I can recall that spent more time on the ground were Wade Boggs and Eric Chavez. And they both were really good third basemen. That pitch almost got him. Rajay 3 for 3 today, a couple of singles, a triple. His 10th triple of the year, and he scored 3 times. So another typical Rajay Davis game against our White Sox. He gone. Couple strikeouts for Daniel, and we're into the 7th. Sox Bar and Grill offers a full menu from Gibson's Restaurant Group. Features 70 flat screen HD TVs and is open 4 hours prior to all home games. So that's Chi Sox Bar and Grill, located at the Gate 5 Plaza. Trace Thompson, Melky Cabrera, Avi Garcia. Trace hit a line drive in the right center field that Ghost made a good catch on. And then he walked and scored his second at bat. That's into center field. See that swing he put on that ball right there, VA?
Yeah, I did. I mean, obviously it's not the result you want, but
right. But what I'm saying, that when he learns how to do that a little better, get in here, he's really going to be something.
Yeah, and that's not a bad miss. I mean, obviously he got out, and no one wants to get out, and fans want to see base hits and home runs. But when you're getting jammed, that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good miss. It's better than being out in front and hooking balls foul.
That's the reason I told you my first 5 years I was a dead full hitter. And what does that tell you? Bad hitter.
Obviously made the adjustment.
And right now, let's check out our Xfinity high-speed action replay. Here's Melky last time up. That is number 12 for him. He now has 75 RBIs. Yeah, but when he learns, which he will, because he's a good athlete, to get those short arms in there and take that inside pitch, what that'll let him do is there's a shot base hit. So Melky swinging that bat. But what that allow him to do down the road, not right now, it allowed him to take that fastball inside, hit it hard, and keep it fair.
Yeah.
When you extend on it, if you hit it hard, it's going foul.
Yeah, there's some truth to what you said. I mean, you have to learn how to pull the ball correctly. Some guys just try to hook everything in batting practice or even in the game. They try to get around the ball. I mean, there's a science or an art to pulling the ball correctly and keeping it fair.
It's an art. It really is. It's a technique.
Seeing that he just picked over there, Verlander. Saw that unbelievable stat earlier. He's got 26 career pickoff moves.
Look at this. Here's a Kansas City special.
What do you think, Hawk? I think we earned a few of those over the last couple games.
Yeah, well, as I said, every time we play Kansas City, I can't tell you in the last couple of 3 years how many games they've beaten us. The little ducks north here, broken bat there, infield single, swinging bunt. As I said, I love it. I wish our team could do it.
Well, I mean,
the only way you can do that is by not striking out.
Yeah, and that also lets you know they're letting the ball travel, and that was one thing I struggled with a lot. I was so anxious, so excited to hit that I wanted to hit it as I was coming out of the pitcher's hand instead of, recognizing the pitch, letting the ball travel, and just trusting your swing.
Yeah.
Joey Votto told me that one time, pulled me aside. He said, if you don't mind me telling you, you got to let the ball travel.
And that's fair ball, Alexei. So here comes Melky. Avi moving to third on the double by Alexei. Hey, it's a 7-3 ball game. We got Ducks on the pond, 1 out.
Alexei, for the most part, as we were talking about pulling the ball, he's a great pull hitter as well. He lets that ball travel and he'll go the other way, but right here he gets extended, double left field, puts us within reach, Hawk.
Seven, 9-0 for them, 3-5-1 for us. I'm just looking at activity on our pen. There's Zach Putnam, but in the strikeout department, the only team in Major League Baseball just under 1,000 strikeouts. It's Kansas City. They have 882.
Which is amazing to me because they got a young lineup. I mean, they got guys like Eric Hosmer and Moustakas, and Moustakas loves to come out of his shoes. I mean, he's a great hitter, but
well, you got a young club in Houston now on the other side of that page. Young club in Houston, they got 1,305 strikeouts.
Well, I hate to throw him under the bus because I'm a big fan of his, but Chris Carter has a lot to do with that. I mean, he's a big swing and miss guy, but big reward too.
Yeah. He's hit some big home runs since he's been in that Houston uniform for him.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see, obviously, he's a former White Sox farmhand. I'm happy to see him do well.
Me too.
A few times in spring training, they were throwing him fastballs down the middle, and he just had no chance. So to see him, make the adjustment, get to the big leagues, and be an impact player over there in the middle of that lineup is nice to see.
Carlos not picking up the ball well. Verlander.
In typical Verlander fashion, wouldn't you know that's the fastest pitch he's thrown in the game at 95 right there. And what inning is it, Hawk?
Yeah.
7th inning.
That's him.
7 through 9. There's 96.
Two and two. And he is sitting on 100 pitches.
3 fastest pitches thrown all game. Pitches 98, 99, and 100, which makes you think that we may have awoke, sleeping giant.
Yeah, he's just not picking up the ball at first. Now, you have guys that you just don't pick up the ball, and this is one of those guys for Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos Sanchez being a middle infielder is a contact guy. These last couple games, just by watching him up here, you can tell he's not picking up the baseball. I mean, he's taking swings on curveballs that are well in the dirt, and right there, those are fastballs middle away, and that's not his game.
No, he usually hits those balls pretty hard, and again, it could be the backdrop, could be something in this ballpark, but he's just not picking it up well. Now, the first game, of course, he had that home run and that double.
Yep.
So, but I think it's probably more Verlander.
I may be asking Verlander after the game. Is there any reason why you chose to throw me 96 and everyone else 91?
That one in 97.
Yeah, same goes for Beckham. It's like I'm sitting here for 5 innings. Can I get 93 middle away? That's the competitive nature in Justin Verlander coming out. You score a few runs on him, upsets him. His ego comes into play here and going to make you earn it now.
That's exactly right. That one in 96. Ego can be a great thing in this game, and it can also be a killer. The 1-2 pitch. That could have gone either way. I say one thing for Tom Woodring. First time I can remember him being behind the plate. He's had a pretty good ball game.
Yeah, I mean, they say the best applause for an umpire is silence, and you haven't heard him get booed one time today except for right there. And I'm glad that call went our way, but when you're the former Cy Young and an AL MVP, I'd be walking off the mound.
Full count. Double-barreled activity. Verhagen and Lane Hardy.
Well, if you're in Vegas right now, Hawk, and you're throwing 97 and you're Justin Verlander, what would you throw right here?
I'd throw whatever would be with fastball with conviction. He threw a breaking ball because you didn't want to walk Gordon Beckham making his first plate appearance. I would have thrown him my best fastball, whatever it was. Throw it with conviction.
Well, the first time I ever faced Justin Verlander, he was cruising through the first inning or two, and it was when he was sitting 95 to 100 and threw me 3 straight curveballs, and I shook it back to the dugout.
Here's Gio. He's grounded to third and struck out. The last thing he wanted to do was, I was shocked at that breaking ball right there. 3-2.
Gio trying to tie it up right there with that swing.
That's 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
And you wonder sometimes. I mean, I get that there's no playoff implications. I mean, both teams are going to play their 162 and shake it on home, but it's still incredible. At 108th pitch is 98 miles an hour.
Well, you certainly could not appreciate it as much as you do now, having tried being a pitcher.
Well, considering that's what I topped out at, and Justin's messing around at 93, 94, beginning in the middle innings, and now he's throwing 98. Just goes to show you the ability this guy has.
Gio now 1 for 8 lifetime off Verlander, but that one hit was a home run.
Gio can hit a good fastball, Hawk.
Yeah, he can. That one at 99.
I give up on this game.
I love it. It's just, I've never met Justin Verlander, but I'll tell you one thing. He's got nothing but my utmost respect as a pitcher. That one at 98. 7th inning stretch. We need some runs. And here's what Brian Anderson was alluding to earlier. Both places, last place I should say, in this division are occupied by these two teams. And here's the bases loaded. Gio at the plate. Watch him and watch Verlander.
Power versus power, Hawk. I mean, Gio's got 9 homers in less than 200 at-bats, and I know for the Chicago fans when they saw him play with the Cubs, you know, NL Rookie of the Year, 20, 30 homers. he can hurt you.
I just love the fact of the emotion there. Here it is, September 23rd. You're not going anywhere. You've been eliminated. You've been knocked out. And you're still showing that kind of emotion. I like that very much.
Verlander's a competitor. I mean, I don't care if you're in first or last place. You know, a guy with his ability and his track record wants to get hit around. So,
well, you brought it out. You said it. Ego.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what type of season your team's having. You know, whatever his numbers are, his numbers are going back on the back of that baseball card at the end of the year.
Here's Kinsler. That's into right field. Can of corn. One pitch, one out. Kinsler now 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. Here's Victor. Seven, 9-0 for them. 3, 5-1 for us. Victor 1 for 2. And here's the first inning, his first at bat.
Let this be a lesson to some of the younger kids out there. Doesn't matter how hard you throw. If you don't mix it up on some of these salty veterans, they're going to make you pay.
Zach coming off that bad groin pull. First time he came out, he got lit up. He just a little different motion when you can't push off as a pitcher. That's not a good injury to have.
Well, it's a total body movement. I mean, from the ground up, you have to have everything working.
Boy, he had a streak there earlier when that splitter of his, he was throwing it right just above the knee, and by the time he got to the plate, it was below the knee, and they could not. He was striking everybody out.
Well, they say it's the nastiest pitch in the game if you can throw it right, but it's hard on the elbow. You know, it's hard pitch to control. Just ask Jose Contreras. He had a nasty one.
Well, one thing about it, that we had a pitch similar to that splitter when I played. It was called the spitter. And everybody threw, not everybody, 90% of the guys threw it. We didn't mind it because you could hang it just like you could a slider or a curveball. But to me, the best pitch in baseball today, as far as hard to hit, is a cutter. I'm glad they didn't have that thing when I played.
No, I mean, they basically just took a four-seam fastball and a nasty slider and split it down the middle, and you don't need to cut it so much. You just push the hands through, pull it on the seams, and pretty nasty pitch. That's what I watched Mark Burley throw, John Danks, and some of the power right-handers throwing them. That's the pitch I threw when I converted to a pitcher. I said I'm going to throw four-seamers middle in and try to cut it 0-0, maybe keep the hitter guessing, and then I had a slider to put him away or a fastball, but you can make a living on that cutter.
Well, there's one guy that made a living. Everybody knew what he was going to throw, where he was going to throw it, and that was Mariano Rivera. He gone. Mariano Rivera, the greatest reliever of all time. And you knew what he was going to throw and where he was going to throw it.
I faced him one time, and I bragged to my teammates that he never got me out because he had me 0-2. Konerko told me, he said, hey, first pitch is going to look like it's coming at you, but it's going to end up being right down the middle. Just swing. Okay, Paulie, I got it. First pitch, cutter right down the middle, take. And then I have 2 strikes on me, and that's when he was experimenting with that sinker, and he beamed me, and I had never sprinted to first so fast. I couldn't wait to give Bainesy my stuff. Or maybe, I think Tim Raines may have been the first base coach at the time, but couldn't wait to get my batting gloves off.
Here's JD, a walk, an RBI double, a run scored, and also a grounder to short. Yeah, when you're a pitcher and you're a one-pitch pitcher, and they know what that pitch is, and they know where you're going to throw it, and you do what Mariano Rivera did, it's incredible.
Reminds me of Johan Santana when he was with the Twins. We had his pitches.
Yeah, knew every time he was going to throw the change.
We had it when we knew when he was going to throw a fastball, and we knew when he was going to throw off speed. And I think I may have squeezed one hit off him, but man, you knew when that changeup was coming, you still would wave over the top of it.
That was amazing. Knew everything he was going to throw and still couldn't beat it because of that change.
Feed off the emotion of the crowd in the Metrodome. It's a great place to play when it's playoff time. You can't hear a thing.
That is caught. Trace with a terrific jump on a shot off the bat of JD, and we're into the 8th. Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, and the wild card leading Yankees. This game 1 against the Yankees starting tomorrow at 6 Central right here on Comcast Sportsnet. And there are the pitchers tomorrow. Chris Sale against Michael Pineda. Southpaw Blaine Hardy comes on in relief of Verlander, who went 7 innings, giving up 3 runs on 5 hits, and he hit 99. The only time he hit 99 was last inning with the bases loaded.
I'm sure Joe Girardi's pretty excited the fact that Chris Sale got pushed back a day, right?
Yeah. $31,869. At 27,829 yesterday. And that doubleheader, the split doubleheader, 34,175 tickets sold in game 1 and 28,499 in game 2.
I think if you're the Detroit Tigers owner, you got to be pretty happy with the turnout, knowing that they're no chance of making the playoffs.
Well, this is a great franchise. They went through a lot of lean years, but you put a good ball club out there, a decent ball club, they're going to support you.
Well, it's not hard to convince fans to come out and watch Justin Verlander either.
No. Miguel Cabrera, how about that?
Yeah. I was going to mention to you today, I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Tigers have the most dangerous platoon infielder, pinch hitter on the bench today in baseball.
Yeah. Abreu has walked and struck out twice. Two and 0 the count after walking the leadoff hitter. Jeff Jones, pitching coach, out to talk.
It's got to frustrate a lot of pitching coaches and managers. Too many times I've been in the dugout or on the field, and you come in the game, you can even give up a home run, you can give up a triple, double, single, Kentucky or Kansas City special, whatever you call them. But when you have the lead and you walk the leadoff hitter, it's just a bad look.
Yeah, they can't live with the walks. They can live with the base hits, as you mentioned, but they can't live with the walks.
I remember Ozzie Guillen having plenty of meetings in the beginning of spring training. He says, listen, pitchers, you guys are going to get hit. It's part of baseball. He's like, I don't care if you give up 50 runs. If you're giving up hits, I'll get you out of there. But
that ball hit deep into center field, goes back.
Start walking guys and give up some big hits, you won't last long.
Well, Ozzie was absolutely instrumental in that. You were there. That 05 championship, and he will manage again
soon, I think.
Well, let's put it this way: there are going to be a lot of managers' jobs open, and for all the guys out there who would like to manage again, which Ozzie does, there's nobody better qualified to manage than he is.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'm a big fan of Joey Cora as well. So giving Joey Cora some love right now and calling him out. I think that a big league organization needs to give him a shot, because when it comes to baseball knowledge, there's no one better than him. Making a lineup or being a bench coach. I mean, oftentimes the bench coach is instrumental in success and what that team does. And I know Ozzie and Joey gelled during those really good years we had.
Trace. Trace has had two real good at bats. He's 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. That walk was a real good at bat. And the first time up, he hit a rocket into right center field. The Ghost got a good jump on it, made a good play on it. Last time up, he got fisted and muscled it out into center field.
Like you said, that may change with time, and that bat's an experience.
It's going to. He's got, I think, in my opinion, he's got the ability to make that adjustment. And it won't have to be a hitting coach that'll tell him. It won't have to be anybody. He'll figure it out.
Well, I knew when they sent him to AAA, and obviously they just wanted to give him some extra work, a little time to develop, but any injury or anything happened to J.B. Shuck or one of the starting guys, I had a feeling he'd be the first called up.
Well, the last thing you want him to do is sit on the bench. In the big leagues, when he can be getting at bats to AAA.
What's one thing they dealt with me when I was struggling? I pride myself on defense, and I know playing defense well gave me a lot more opportunities and more chances, but I know Rick and Kenny battled that. Ozzie too. They wanted me to get more at bats and develop and kind of correct some things I was doing wrong, but we just didn't have the depth at the time.
Pull a string on him. 2 down. changeup will get a lot of guys. That's it. It's not the curveball anymore. That's the old equalizer. It's the changeup.
Yeah, that looked like one of those tweener pitches. I'm not sure what that was. It was like a little bit too hard to be a straight change, but not quite Hardy's fastball. But
no, he was about 6 miles an hour short.
Yeah,
on his fastball.
I'll tell you, you were saying tough to pick up the ball. Trace has done a pretty good job taking good swings this series, but didn't look like he saw that one too well.
Melky, 2 for 3, a 2-run homer. Solid single, stay fair. It will. Down into the corner. Now they're going to wave at him around. He's going to score, and it's a 7-4 ball game. Melky, that's his 34th double. Now has 76 RBIs.
We spoke earlier, Hawk, about how you really got to utilize players like Melky Cabrera and their playoff and World Series experience. And I think if the White Sox are able to turn around in 2016, he'll be instrumental in getting to the playoffs and seeing if they can make a push.
I tell you the truth, I don't know what to think now after this year. I'd like to be optimistic, but right now there's a pitching change, and we'll be back. Time to call to the pen is the big right-hander, Drew Verhagen, making his 18th appearance. 2-0, 2.42. And we saw him last night for an inning. And he had a 1-2-3 inning. So 7-4. Come on, Avi, pick him up. Let's give him a finish. Watch out.
Speaking of expectations, Hawk, I think the fans maybe putting some
You're right.
I can't even think of the word.
Yeah, you're right.
For Avi, because he looks just like Miguel Cabrera. He kind of swings like him too. I mean, unrealistic expectations. But
yeah, knew where you're going with that, and you're right. I mean, and I'm included in that group.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the guys. One of the biggest players in all the big leagues. He can move. He's got a great arm. He's got power, but there's no reason why he can't be a 280 with 25 plus. But I just think those comparisons are.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Even if you're sitting here, the two guys who are the 5-tool players that we've had in the last 25 years of the White Sox have been Brian Anderson and Avi Garcia. And he pops up, and we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. And Jennings comes on. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 7-4 Detroit lead. One time they led it 7-2. In fact, at one time they led it 6-0.
Talk a little bit about in spring training, getting to see some of these pitchers that I haven't seen before. And those uncomfortable at bats. This guy's funky too.
He's got good stuff. Dan's got good stuff. He had a problem earlier. I mean, it's the exception to the rule when you have a player today, or a pitcher, especially a pitcher, who hadn't had a problem during the course of the season. I mean, it's amazing. But he has good stuff, and he's got a good enough stuff where I just can't believe that Miami must have a great bullpen if they let this kid go.
I know. I mean, I watched some guys stand in and live BPs off him, and you don't see anyone digging in. Same with Chris Sale. It's just funky coming from that left side, weird arm angle.
Yeah, with the stuff he has, if that mirror ever tells him, hey son, you can pitch up here, then he's going to be good. Seven 9-0 for the Tigers, 4-6-1. The Tigers trying to even up the series at 2 games apiece. We took the doubleheader. Justin Marger with a 1-hitter, and that was a Kansas City special, a little broken bat flare over the shortstop's head. Jeff was just terrific. And then we won game 2, 3-2. That was Eric Johnson picking up his 3rd victory since being called up. He went 6 innings, he went up just 2 runs. Then last night in 10 innings, they went 2-1. And we didn't have a hit, so 1 out in the top of the 9th. He gone. See, get that ball up.
Elevate late, especially with that kind of stuff.
All right. The most popular way to follow the action of our White Sox is with MLB.com at bat. Watch baseball wherever you are with live look-ins, the highlights, the replay reviews, the scores, the StatCast, the live radio broadcast, the live TV broadcast, MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Download the MLB.com at bat on your smartphone and tablet, and do it now. That's a great app. A great app.
It's one you were telling me about yesterday, right? Watch some live games.
What did we do before we had cell phones, right?
I don't even remember that day.
I do. Now it's what did we do before we didn't have the app, MLB app? Well, John Walgren, our producer, says you talk to each other. That's what you do. That's exactly right. Today, you walk in a lot of clubhouses, and the only thing you know, as you see, is these guys sitting in front of their locker working their iPhones and iPads.
I mean, I remember one time I was driving, just getting to high school, and I looked down at my phone, and it said text message, and I think it was from my mom or dad saying, like, where are you? And I remember thinking to myself, what the heck is this? Just call me. Like, this will never last. Now it's probably the most widely used technology or form of communication on the planet.
Yeah. That's a great app, though, that MLB. There's a strike. In fact, you can say, oh, I was watching a game back on June 14th. Something happened to that thing. Boy, I wish I could see a replay of that. You can go back and watch the game on June 14th of this thing. Watch any game that's been played.
Wow.
Here's the 3-1. That one at 92. Alex 0 for 3, but he does have an RBI today.
That was just off the plate. Another way this game has changed so much over the years, and it's getting more and more to the point. If you're a pitcher, you better be able to throw anything in your arsenal in any count.
Well, certainly for strikes too, but touch on that. There could be pitches that are too nasty. I mean, I see some of these guys like Clayton Kershaw, and they're, you know, a guy takes a nasty curveball in the dirt, or maybe even that pitch right there, a front door slider, and you don't know, that could have fooled Avila into thinking like I had no chance to hit it anyways.
All right. Back him up. Good inning for Dan Jennings, and we're into the ninth. Came in yesterday with that 1-run lead in the ninth inning, gave up a run. He gave a 1-out triple to Saladino, and then the base hit by Adam Eaton. So they got him right back out there.
Gotta like to see that though, as a manager, GM. Didn't have the best outing last night, but most likely told his pitching coach he was available, and maybe even requested it to pitch just to get a feel and get back on top and redeem himself.
Well, I hope he didn't have to request it, because if he's going to be on this team, he's got to be back out there today.
He sure does, and I think having that combo of him and Joe Nathan, 8-9. I mean, I know Joe Nathan got hurt this year, and he's had his ups and downs with Detroit, but speaking of consistent closers over the last 10 years, he's right up there with the best of them.
And Brian, I want to thank you for sitting in for Steve. Really enjoyed it, buddy. It's always nice to see you. You know that, but I've really enjoyed it. Sitting here and shooting the breeze, bringing back a lot of memories. Andrew Romine goes into third base.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Hawk, and
it was a pleasure, believe me. It's a pleasure. Here's Alexei. Alexei 1 for 3 with a double, and now he's going to have to get his bat back.
No, even though the Sox are down by 3 and may want to take the first pitch, as Lexi loses his bat right there. You know, you teach the young kids, or you teach your players, maybe take a pitch, try to draw a walk, make him throw a strike. But when you face a guy as nasty as Neftali Feliz, the first pitch you see might be the best pitch all that bat.
O'Mine very quickly gets into action. 1 out. 7 runs on 9 hits for them, 4 runs on 6 hits for us. We have 1 home run. That was by Melky Cabrera, 2-run shot. They have 1 home run. That was a 2-run home run by Victor Martinez in the first inning. They led this game 6-0 going to the 4th inning. So here is Carlos.
Carlos is in a unique situation right here. I don't think he's probably ever been in a situation where he's had 3 strikeouts and being a good contact hitter and having to face Neftali Feliz throwing 97, 98.
Yeah, Carlos is a good player now, and he's going to be a very good player before he's done.
He forgets sometimes he's 22, 23 years old.
Yep. As in the left. He's always been the youngest player in any league he played in.
So he's almost deceiving. He's so good. He's so polished. You see him take ground balls. You see the way he goes about his business in the clubhouse, and more of a quiet guy, nice guy.
Players love him.
Yeah, I got along with him great in spring training. Got to watch him take swings in the cage and play. I didn't even bother looking at his age. I thought he was a veteran guy and been around for a few years.
So we're down to our last out. Gordon Beckham in his second at bat. He walked in his first. Takes first pitch strike.
This is another guy I'm pulling for, Hawk, to kind of find his way and get back to form like he did when he first got called up. Because in 2009, oh my gosh, stud.
He had his childlike qualities in 2009. And in the ensuing years, they started dwindling because he's thinking too much. He was like Brian Anderson, thinking too much.
Well, a guy like Gordon is so good in high school, college, comes to the big leagues and just took off in 09. I remember he was hitting double after double. And,
yeah.
He hadn't struggled, and that's how you find out.
It's not too late for him.
I agree.
It's not too late for him. Some people were down on him, but it's not too late for him because of the fact if he gets the right approach, he gets back to that approach he had in 2009, he can be the player that we all thought he could be.
Yeah, I just think he needs a good month. I mean, there's no exact timetable on it, but you hear baseball players like had a hot month or, solid month. He needs a solid month to build on and just take off.
Now Gordon in that second game of that doubleheader got us off to a good start with a home run. And when that ball comes down, this game will be over. So we take the first 2. They take the last 2. And once again, Brian, buddy, best of luck to you. And you got my number. Stay in touch.
I'll be tweeting.
I don't want any
tweets.
tweets.
I'll be tweeting you and texting you.
Texting me.
You got it, Hawk.
All right. Let's check out our player of the game. It is the 32-year-old right-hander, Justin Verlander. Verlander went 7 innings. Pitched well, 8 strikeouts. He's our player of the game. So, for Brian Anderson, or Jim Angio, or John Walgren, and down in the truck,